And I kept hearing people talking about microbes, microorganisms or bugs or whatever it was. And I just became more and more fascinated with them because they just made sense to me. They just sort of seemed to answer so many questions. I grew up on a farm, we had a tractor, we plowed things, it's not like I haven't been associated with the mistakes, but it's kind of like you and your animals. I think it's like the more you hang out with them, the more you are amazed by them about the different aspects of intelligence, the gifts they have, the things they can do. And people are learning that now about, trees and about what's actually going on in the ground, the whole kind of mycelium world. I mean, it's just worlds upon worlds down there.
So we're maybe a business that is hopefully 5-10 years ahead of our time, in that at some point we hope that people will start understanding that this probiotic life and this nature can be used in many different areas.
When we learnt about it, we became so enthusiastic about it, in farming, and you can even put it in your paint before you paint your room, and it won't smell, and mold won't grow on it. I mean, it's like, where is it that you can't use it? Anywhere where there's life and you apply it to the environment, it improves it.
And I think we're seeing so much about how, look, let's face it, we are the sickest generation. Most of our children have got a life expectancy lower than us. Our animals' life expectancy has plummeted, yet at the same time, the chronic disease rate in humans and animals has gone up. The mental health crisis has never been higher.
We don't feed ourselves. What we do is we feed our microbiome, and then our microbiome feeds us.
Right, hello, and a big welcome to today's episode of the Live, Love, Learn podcast with me, your host, Catherine Edwards. And I am so pleased to welcome two incredible guests for a conversation that literally touches the heart of our health, physical, mental, planetary, and animal well-being. And you're going to discover in today's conversation that so much what we've been told about health has taken us away from what really truly supports us. We've got synthetic supplements everywhere, over-processed food, contamination in our air, water and minds. And quite honestly, we've strayed so far from natural rhythms that our bodies are designed to thrive in. So in this soil to stomach episode, we are literally going back to our roots. We're diving into why healthy soil and a healthy gut are intrinsically linked, and yet two of the most overlooked and powerful keys to health, stronger food systems, and a more resilient, vibrant life. Because when we're truly healthy, we're less controllable, we're more discerning, and we're less likely to be led astray by a vice that works against us instead of with us. So it's time to stop micromanaging and start trusting in nature's incredible wisdom. By the end of today, we're all going to be loving those little microbes, and we're going to see how incorporating them into many aspects of our lives will help us all thrive. So with that, I am so happy to welcome Katie and Jeff from Microbes today. Thank you so much for being here.
Great. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, thank you. What an amazing introduction. It's perfect. It sums us up completely.
Yeah.
Well, I have literally been using your products for several years now, not only for myself, my human family and my human clients, but honestly for me, more important for all the animals out there of whatever species. And I'm so pleased you took the time to do it with us today in your beautiful setting, because for me, I really think that what you are offering as a company is the missing link to get us back to good old common sense, to tune in with ourselves and get that connection back from nature. So before we dive in, I want to get to know a little bit about both of you a little bit more, because I think for me, Katie, we've spoken before, but when I'm a strong believer that the resonance and the energy behind the company is so crucial to the products, and you two are very special in that. So, Jeff, can we start with you and find out a little bit more about you, from your roots in Africa to your passion for microbes?
Yes, I mean, I have to admit, microbes wasn't ever on my list,
Yeah.
but about 22 years ago, I was going around the world, talking to people with great ideas, and they were being put together with people with money, and I sort of helped facilitate that. And I kept hearing people talking about microbes, microorganisms or bugs or whatever it was. And I just became more and more fascinated with them because they just made sense to me. They just sort of seemed to answer so many questions. Then when I came back to the UK here and started researching it on the net, I realized at that time nobody was doing anything with microbes, or very, very little. And so I talked to my wife, Susie, and we said, let's start, and brought a 30-liter fermenter and put it in the kitchen table and did our first fermentation. So that's where we started. And in truth, I knew very little then. And probably with all the vast amount of knowledge about microbes, I probably still know very little. But I know a lot more than I did 22 years ago. So it's been a fascinating journey. And it's just about every day I read another article or another post or something like that about, another amazing sort of aha moment about microbiology. And so it's the whole journey has been fascinating.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So much more. I want to dive deep on that as we go.
Yeah.
Katie, you have grown up in this environment, in what we would call a probiotic environment. How's that affected you and your outlook on life?
Well, I mean, my parents have always been very into nature, into natural. My mum, when I was a kid, just grew the most incredible gardens, and I would imagine in them and play in them. So there's always been this kind of real connection to nature from both of them. And when we moved here, it was all about restoring the nature that was here and all about connecting to the land. So that was a strong memory. And they work very hard. Both of my parents work very, very hard. They're very committed. And I think Dad's always described the process of making microbes as a love story. And there's definitely an element of that kind of just really enjoying the process, really feeling like there's meaning behind it and there's purpose behind it. And now what we get from so many of our customers is the kind of reassurance that it works for them in so many ways. And I'm always fascinated when I hear people say, oh, I took a probiotic for my IBS and it cleared up my itchy ears, or I didn't realize, my skin or something else. They didn't take it for that reason. And for me, that's a real litmus test for the fact that microbes are always trying to work for health. They're always trying to kind of bring us back to balance, and internally in our bodies and externally. And if we just kind of get out of the way a bit and let them do their thing, then all things seem to get better, or quite a lot of things can be resolved by them.
I love that. I love the idea. I mean, I work predominantly with animals because I prefer animals actually to humans. Sorry, I do. They're just wonderful in every possible way. And I find that when we do get out the way, I'm scientifically trained, I'm a biologist, and I've had a fantastic time and still are exploring the science. But equally, I think as humans, we can get so in our heads, and we're going to come on to the gut connection at the moment. Most people listening will have heard about, they call your gut your second brain, although we're realizing now it's our first brain. But there's a lot of misconceptions about what a probiotic is. And you speak about soil-based probiotics, not just as a supplement, but also working in partnership with their body. So what is fundamentally different? There's so many probiotics out there on the market, but what makes the soil-based strains completely, or soil-based product, not even strains, fundamentally different from these lab-isolated strains?
If we look out there and look at everything natural going on, where it all came from starting 3.5 billion years ago, was from a microbial mat that covered the earth, from which all life came from. And it's our belief that that microbial mat, or at least a good echo of it, is still there. So what we believe we're doing is tapping into that sort of original source of life that was a microbial soup. And some people call that effective microorganisms or regenerative microorganisms. And they're the ones, they're only a very small percentage of the whole range, but they seem to have an intelligence, and they seem to, do things we can't even think of. And their diversity that they bring is one of those major building blocks of life. And that's kind of, how we feel about it as well. We would describe EM, or effective microbes, as the building blocks of life. That's where it all started. And when you connect with that, they bring in, as Katie says, so many benefits that we still don't even understand.
Calmness, all the mental health benefits too. And what I would say to that is, we've come so far in our modern world away from this microbial soup. We live in our houses, we clean them with antibacterial stuff, and the food that we eat is taken from places not from the earth, or if it is taken from earth, it's not healthy earth. And we've taken so many steps away from this microbial soup. And I remember Dad saying to me 5 years ago, we're trying to make a road back. It's not about, which ones can we engineer for which issue, or which, and that's what we mean when we say join forces with nature. It's like, go back to that microbial soup, include it in your life in any area. And it's our belief, but it's also our experience that has healed and has grown amazing crops, and which taste amazing. There's so much proof that we get every day from ourselves and our customers that it works for them.
And what we say to everyone is, we don't engineer anything. It's already been engineered. It's called life, and it's out there. But it's the word you used earlier that's so amazing about microbes, is they bring balance back into everything. When you add microbes, you get balance and things happen. And one of the things we're really learning in agriculture is, when people use the herbicides, the insecticides, and all the things, what that does is opens the door to uncontrolled growth. I mean, anything can happen, anything go wrong. And I think it's the same for us in our human bodies. When we move so far away from nature, we open the door to uncontrolled growth. And that could be, cancer, a tumor, something, so it's coming back to the balance. And I think that's what the microbes do. With that balance, they make everything safer.
I absolutely love it. And this is why each time I sort of go down the AI rabbit hole and sort of, do I need to get worried about AI? I keep coming back to the fact the AI, I don't think, is ever going to have this relationship with nature, with the soil, with microbes. And therefore, I don't need to worry about it, because the intelligence, Zach Bush talks about the intelligence of nature. And this is the thing, is like, I think a lot of us humans are learning to sort of take a step back and to get out the way and to facilitate getting back that balance and that intuition and everything that we talk about. But one of the things that I think so many people don't pay enough attention to, although luckily it is being talked about more, is soil, and how important soil is to all aspects of not just human health, but the health of all our plants, the health of all the animals, the health of everything on this planet. What do you think's been lost in our relationship with soil?
Just about everything, unfortunately. One of the things that when I was being taught by someone some time ago, he came to visit us here, and he said, one of the things you need to do is to be willing to smell the soil. And so we sort of, what do you mean? So there's a field near us where our farmer was monocropping. Every year he grew the same crop and, sprayed it with all kinds of stuff. And he said, come on out and smell the soil. and you just get down your hands and knees, smell the soil, it smells of puke.
Mm.
And he said, I knew it was going to smell like that because that's unhealthy soil. It smells sick.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is sick. And the thing is about going out where you're using microbes, even microbes on compost piles or manure heaps, if you get the microbial bit right, there won't be any smell.
Oh, yeah.
Smell, or it'll be a positive smell. So it's kind of, that's what we say about, sometimes compost piles or manure piles. When they smell bad, the reason they smell bad is because they are bad.
And I would add to that, there's such an opportunity here in the UK. I mean, on a big scale, but on a small scale in terms of, pig manure, poultry manure, there's farmers out there that creating an enormous amount of this stuff and have a real problem about what to do with it. And then it leaches, they've got waterways, there's so many issues. And I think that offers us and companies like us, and there are many people working in this area now, an opportunity there's a big problem there that can be fixed quite easily with a natural solution. And it's just a level of awareness that it isn't there yet in terms of people seeking it out or wanting to use it. But it doesn't have to be that way. And there's another way. And
I mean, by you asking that question, I just answered with one small bit. I mean, I could talk all day about what's wrong with soil, that we've divorced from it. I mean, I grew up on a farm, we had a tractor, we plowed things, it's not like I haven't been associated with the mistakes, but it's kind of like you and your animals. I think it's like the more you hang out with them, the more you are amazed by them about the different aspects of intelligence, the gifts they have, the things they can do. And people are learning that now about, trees and about what's actually going on in the ground, the whole kind of mycelium world. I mean, it's just worlds upon worlds down there, and we've just treated it like dirt. And I know there's many places in the UK now on farms where the soil is just become a medium. It's no longer a living thing. It's a medium you throw chemicals on and put some seeds in, and you have this mistaken belief that what comes out of that is going to be food that's not going to, hurt you in some way. It's not nutritious food.
But on the other side of that, I would say the few people who are starting to regenerate their soils, they ought to also talk about a mystical process, or a process of that regeneration process is also, is so inspiring and brings so much back in terms of pollinators and animals and bugs and human spirit, I think. So it feels to me like we're on, the regenerative movement. It has got a lot of energy in it and can only be the way forward. And soils, like, again, without us, they would regenerate. Just stop doing the things that you're doing is one way. And there's a life there that can regenerate, and that's very inspiring.
Recently, we've done a trial with a farmer on winter oats, and they'd used some sort of herbicides and things like that. So they were looking to kind of regenerate their crops and soils, and the harvest isn't in yet, so we don't have all the figures, but the plants were bigger, they were stronger, they were greener, everything looked a lot better. But the telling thing he said when he stood there, he said, when I stood there in the field next to them, he said it just felt better.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, it's so lovely you said that, actually, both of you, because people are really starting to realize that we've got to sort of get a little bit more out of our heads into our heart and just feel what's right and what's wrong. And we've been so blinded by science that we don't even know how to feed ourselves. I mean, it's ridiculous. Humans are the only animals on the planet that need nutritionists to tell us what food is or not. And
it really turned our intelligence against us.
Yeah. And I think, for me, with my animals here, I've got a huge muck heap down the garden because I've got 4 horses here, 3 actually now. And guinea pigs as well that produce a nice lot of compost. And it doesn't smell nasty at all. And so much so that in our food recycling compost area, it's so cute. The badger comes in each night and helps himself and everything. And none of it smells bad at all. And the other great thing is when we see how nature's meant to, I feed lots of fresh herbs and dried herbs to my horses. And of course, they go through their digestive system that activates virgin seeds and they poo them out the other end. And then I've got self-seeded herbs all over my paddock. So actually, it's so beautiful to see. And my grandmother used to say that when she used to put her hands in the soil, it was like all her problems were going away. So there's so many benefits to all this. And I wanted to ask you next about, because you've got, well, don't worry, everyone listening to this, we're going to come through the full range of products and why they all link together to really help you with this reconnected natural way of living, whether it's in your cleaning products for taking yourself, your animals to put on your garden. But so many people are starting to understand now the importance of gut health. And how, you know, we were told originally that glyphosate wasn't a problem for humans because of the shikimate pathway that we don't have. But of course, our gut is more bacteria than it is us. So how has your work really sort of led you to discover more about this link between soil health and gut health?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well known that a lot of our food is really missing in nutrients and minerals and things like that because the soil has been so depleted. And I think that's true, therefore, for our guts. I think our guts have not, had a good ride. I mean, one of my granddaughters was born, and at the time, soon after her birth, they said, oh, the birth process was a bit too long, so we think she got covered too much with her mum's juices and therefore maybe has too many bacteria on her. So we're going to give her an antibiotic shot. And she's like a day old. I mean, it's just
unbelievable.
Yeah. And when I think about how many antibiotic shots I had during the course of my life, and you know, I had so much penicillin growing up in Africa as a kid that in the end I got an allergy towards it, you know, which probably was a good thing. I didn't realize at the time, but it's just, they're still handing out antibiotics as candies. And each time you're doing that, you're just wiping out your whole microbiome. And, you know, I think after quite a strong antibiotic, the sort of common knowledge is it takes about 2 years to repopulate it, you know, and that's taking a good probiotic and having a really good diet as well, and probably not drinking anything.
And the depression stats after antibiotics are quite crazy too. I would just add to that it feels like to me as a society, we made the decision about antibiotics at a very low level of understanding about microbiology. You know, we didn't understand anything really. We understood they were these bad guys, and then we went about killing them for 50 years or however many years. And now we know a bit more, and we're still trying to work out, you know, how they all work together. So I feel like we've got a very low level of knowledge in this area, and it's hard to come up with solutions because we could make the same mistake again in terms of killing everything.
And I think we're seeing so much about how, look, let's face it, we are the sickest generation. Most of our children have got a life expectancy lower than us. Our animals' life expectancy has plummeted, yet at the same time, the chronic disease rate in humans and animals has gone up. The mental health crisis has never been higher. And of course, there's loads of reasons for this, but I do want to come back to a little bit so that people are really clear, because this is an area I've been studying for years, but I want people to be really clear about the difference between a conventional lab-made probiotic capsule within the grounds of what you're legally allowed to say. And I know my audience are very well versed on there are legal restrictions about what we can and can't say, but your range of life force, as I would call it, in something that's coming from a fermented soil product, in my understanding, is nothing like a lab-made probiotic.
No.
I think if you start with a kind of a little bit the Western way of looking at sort of medicine, it's kind of like if you have a headache, then you take an aspirin, or if you have this, you take that. So it's that kind of one thing fixes and that something else. I think that's limited in scope, especially when you get to microbiology. And I think the thing that we offer, first of all, like I say, it's natural. It's kind of already been engineered. And then we put it through a fermentation process. And like they say, the magic's in the fermentation. Nobody really knows what goes on in fermentation. Why does sauerkraut have 7 times more vitamin C in it than the original products? Where did it come from? I don't know anyone who can answer that question, except to say the magic's in the fermentation. So the fermentation seems to be a really important part of it. The diversity and the intelligence of that original soup is also part of it. Why it works so well, I couldn't answer that question. It does. Like we said before, it tastes good, it feels good, it seems to work well.
In terms of what other companies are doing, most companies on the market will take a strain, and most of them are from nature originally. So our competitors will have found those individual strains from nature, and then they synthetically make them in a lab. And part of the reason for doing that is because they can test that one thing, and then they can say, this has this impact. So I've got these 4 strains in my probiotic, and I test them and I trademark them, and I know that they can do this one thing. So that has a benefit in the sense that you've proven that probiotic has a positive benefit for most people. But one bacteria in my stomach will do something very different to one bacteria in your stomach because in our minds, because
the environment.
The environment. And so we believe in this diversity that nature engineered and comes from nature, and the cooperation between the microbes, and they all have different jobs, and they live in this kind of community that we don't fully understand, and maybe I'll die and we never will still fully understand it. So that's the difference. We believe and we trust in nature and the strains we get from nature. We're not engineering them in any way, and that can be quite a hard message for some people because it's not off the shelf. It's not your average answer.
And for those products, while we're talking about them, I mean, they also commercially, there's a lot of people that come into this business. The well-being business is just going through the roof, billions and billions and billions. You get a little magic pill. Being a pill, you don't have the sell-by date issue, you don't have the taste issue, you don't have the things. It's just so easy to do that, and put a good marketing campaign against it, and you probably do quite well.
But for us, it's that question: why are we sleepwalking into a supplement culture? Why have we spent the last 10 years just asking each other what's the best kind of collagen, what's the best kind of creatine, what's the best kind of NAD, rather than asking ourselves what's wrong with our system that we have to be taking a pill, a glass this big full of pills every morning in order to be healthy? I mean, that's madness.
Oh, every time we try to micromanage it, we've seen what happens on a global scale. It just goes horribly, horribly wrong. It's time to take a step back for everyone and sort of say, let's get back to basics. And also, I think for me, my understanding is we don't have to understand how it all works. We don't need to. We just need to listen to the results in our bodies and our minds and watch our animals. That's why I love working with animals so much, because there's no placebo effect with animals. They're not reading and thinking they've got a good advertising campaign, I'll go with these ones. And so the results speak for themselves, and the plants, because your plant products are amazing.
Yeah.
Plants, I love using our probiotics on an indoor-outdoor plant, and you can feel the difference. It comes back to life. There's just something that is, I could never understand or put, like Dad says, tell you exactly why, but you can feel it.
And I think going back to the food thing, there's a sort of saying that I'm not going to prove, but it sounds right. We don't feed ourselves. What we do is we feed our microbiome, and then our microbiome feeds us. And I think that's the way to look at it. So if you're going back to the whole supplement culture, if you don't have the right microbiome within you, then you can take all the supplements you like, but you're not going to ingest them. They're not going to go into your body, because it's the microbes that take it out of the pills or whatever and puts it into your body.
With the carrot.
Yeah, exactly.
And the same thing's true in nature. When you're using them in plants, it helps the plants. It knows that the plant needs a certain mineral or an enzyme or something like that. And it's the microbes that source it, that do the communication, that do all that kind of stuff. So they're the glue. Like I said, they're the building block. They put it all together.
Hi everyone, it's Catherine here, and before I dive into today's episode, I want to really quickly share something that's so important to me. I love hosting this podcast because it allows us all to explore those big questions, challenge our programming, and uncover the natural truths that truly empower us. But did you know my real passion's working one-on-one with animals and people, helping you or your animal cut through the noise, find the root cause of imbalances, stress, illnesses, or really just create a personalised plan that actually works for you. So whether you're here for your own healing or you're a dedicated animal guardian, wanting the very best for your dog, cat, horse, any four-legged or scaled or winged companion, I'm here for you both. I work with animals and humans, but I especially love helping the animals thrive. That is my real happy place. So my recharge and reset consultations and online courses are packed with practical tools, printable resources, lifelong access, and the main thing is you'll never feel alone on this journey. And they work. Just head over to my website and check out the testimonials. So if you're really ready to take action and not just listen, head over to catherineedwards.life, that's Catherine with the C and .life at the end, and explore my courses and consults, or if you want to, book a free 15-minute chat to see if I can help, because it's really important we stop outsourcing our health, really look after our animal companions better than before, and start leading by example. Now back to the podcast. Thank you. I also love the fact that little birdie tells me that your brewing process is beautifully unconventional, with looking at full moon cycles, structured water, and very much the role of intention. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you've developed that and how important those sort of things are for you? Because my audience do love things like this.
Can I tell you a story?
Please do.
Years ago, when Katie was young, we lived in another village and used to go to a pub. That pub was a Wadsworth pub, and Wadsworth make a real ale. And every year, this publican won the best beer of the year. He got the #1 award. And I was in there one day talking to his wife. He wasn't there. I couldn't see him. And I said to her, why does he always win the best brewing award, the best real ale award? And she said, well, I don't know exactly. But what I can tell you is every day he goes down to his cellar with a bucket and a cloth, and he washes his casks of beer and he sings to them, and he goes down there and basically loves his beer. And from that, he got the best beer. So I didn't know it at the time, but it was a great lesson for me. And we are strong believers in intention. I mean, to the point of thinking, could someone actually commercially make a product like ours in a factory? You know, if it was just a factory and people were just doing what they were told to do and weren't thinking about it, weren't involved with it, weren't just doing it for the money kind of thing, would it actually work? And I suspect it might not be as nearly as good a product. So intention's important for us, you know, so we play, you know, classical music to them and, you know, all that stuff. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know that there's several people on the continent who have been doing it for a while. They have a very similar attitude. They don't like people in the brewing rooms or in the fermentation room if they're in a bad mood or they have an argument. It's just like, go away and come back when you're more centered. And going back to the whole animal stuff now, the animals always pick up on that. They're so sensitive to energy. And now they're even doing it more with plants. They're talking about a house plant kind of knows if you feed it regularly, water it regularly, even a house plant will know you. And that can only be through energy.
My friends, I love them. Yeah.
That can only be through energy. So the energetic cycle is important to us.
Very important. And it's a communion.
It really is. And I think people are really understanding that more and more and more. You know, you get out what you put back, and people like Dr. Emoto and Vida Austin have done amazing work on intention and water, and of course plants, ourselves, microbes are all a huge percentage of water, varies depending which ones you're talking about and stages of life. So how important is the quality of the water that you use in your process?
Oh yeah, one of our sort of heartbreaks was that we wanted to put a borehole, because we did lots of boreholes when we were helping people in Africa, and we thought, we'll come back here, put down a borehole and get nice clean water. Unfortunately, we live on a big clay thing, and then they said more than likely it doesn't work. So we've spent the time putting the water through a lot of filters, charcoal filters, but also energetic filters. So our water goes through quite a lot of restructuring. And then, of course, we use the beads, the microbes, beads that we have actually sent to the Emoto Institute in Switzerland and had it tested for the effects on water. So all our brewing and all our water that we hold before we brew always have ceramic beads inside them that have been fired with microbiology, because we know from the photographs we got that it restructures the water. Yeah,
I love that. So talk us through some of the range of products that you've got that people, because you sort of really look at the whole lifestyle of sort of house, land, and being, whether it's an animal or a human. Now we're going to hopefully do some other episodes where we dive deep into the human products in one episode, the animal products in another, and the cleaning and land in another. But I really want people to get an overview of why you've covered the full range and how important that is.
It's a constant conversation. No, you know, it's funny because every single brand or business person that we meet says, you're absolutely mad. What are you doing trying to sell all these products? Focus on the two that sell and just sell them and you'll have a healthy business. And for the last 5 years, we've been saying no, because it's our belief and our love that this probiotic life is a real opportunity for people to use microbes in all different areas. Because so what we have is gut health for humans, cleaning and for air, gardening for use in soils and gardening and compost, bokashi, and pets. And that's because in all of those environments, we've seen that these microbes are beneficial. And it's because we want to offer an option that isn't antibacterial in all of those areas and that provides good microbes. And we genuinely think we have very good products in all of those areas. And the horse stuff is really taking off now. The dog and cat stuff, it took us a while to get it regulated, but it's really making a difference in lots of animals' lives. And the cleaners, they work really well.
Yes,
but people just don't understand how, as you say, probiotic cleaner, and they say, what are you talking about? So we're maybe a business that is hopefully 5-10 years ahead of our time, in that at some point we hope that people will start understanding that this probiotic life and this nature can be used in many different areas.
Yeah, that was our sort of mistake at the beginning. I mean, when we learned about it, we became so enthusiastic about in farming, and you can even put it in your paint before you paint your room, and it won't smell, and mold won't grow on it. I mean, it's like, where is it that you can't use it? Anywhere where there's life and you apply it to the environment, it improves it. So of course we all sort of burnt out quite early on, ran out of money and just, all that sort of stuff.
It makes for a complicated business, that's for sure.
And then we sort of sat down and said, no, let's do the human stuff and the house and garden and do that. And now that's become more established. And then we sort of heading out more to the horticulture, then out into the agriculture, which is where we think one of the biggest markets is. But, right now it's just such a terrible time because the drought we've had at the beginning of this year has really thrown a spanner in the works for a lot of farmers. They're really struggling now. We haven't had any decent rain. Well, around here, I think some places have. And, the seasons are starting much earlier than they were before. And it's just, you can't guarantee anything. So, having
controllers can guarantee our weather, that's for sure. Yeah.
But we see that as a solution or as an opportunity, can that be reversed? We would say yes.
Absolutely. And for me, I'm so pleased that you have stuck with it and done that, because let's face it, if people they need to look at all of these, because if you're losing toxic cleaning stuff in your home, not only is that affecting you and any animals and plants you've got in the home, but it's also getting into the waterways. And most people have got recycled water, and we know that their filtration systems are truly terrible. So you've got this awful self-fulfilling prophecy where all through that life cycle you're causing more death and destruction. And with you, everyone that's using their natural cleaning products is putting life force back down the drain instead of death.
It's one of my mum's favorite things to say. She just says she loves so much that she can throw away the bowl of cleaning stuff, and it just improves whatever environment it goes into. It doesn't take anything away, and the kids can go and get the cleaning stuff and drink it and they'd be absolutely fine. There's just no need for the toxicity.
Absolutely.
Then we say the same thing too. If you buy a probiotic and you don't like the taste of it, then put it down the sink and it'll clean your drains as well. So you'll get benefit whichever way you use it.
Exactly. I think, the farming area, there's so many people that will be watching this, that whether it's going microgreens on your windowsill or turning your garden into a food forest, which is what we're trying to do very slowly because it takes time. Or, whether it's more people that are looking, a lot of community farms, it's beautiful to see propping up. All of these things, because what I'm so encouraged about is when you look at the people who are doing more regenerative agriculture, nature's ability to heal when you stop the damage is absolutely remarkable. And do you find that with your human clients as well?
Humans are harder, aren't they, as you've already said?
We've just had such wondrous results in some cases. I remember a lady came a little while ago and talked about her husband who had terrible stomach issue, gut issues. And one of his jobs was public speaking, which just turned into just a series of embarrassments for him, as you can imagine. And not only that, his teeth were really bad and everything. And he went on to it. And within a short period of time, his whole life had changed. And then, unfortunately, he did what many sort of people do: is say, "Oh, I'm better now, so I'm going to go back to my old habits," and which he did for a little while. And then suddenly, all the problems started coming back. And you went, "No, it's you got to understand that what you're doing is creating these problems." And I think that's true for all of us. I mean, it's okay to go out there now and eat a bad meal occasionally, especially with the kids or the grandkids. But boy, you wouldn't want to do it every day.
No.
I
mean, it's our food sources like not helping us.
It's about change, isn't it? How much are we willing to change? And what we find is people now with health issues, they have stacks of health issues. They don't have one health issue. They have they come to us with 4, 5, 6, 7 different issues, and they're really looking for solutions, something that would help. And that's a captive audience for the wellness market to come in and say, have this and have this and have this and have this. And I guess what we found is that the microbes really help to clear up a lot of those issues, but it's in the mind and the body of people to also change. And we always say, take responsibility for your life as well. It's not about running straight to the doctor and taking the first pill they give you. It's not about there's a level of personal responsibility and ability to change that also needs to happen. It's not maybe all a probiotic, but it's a process of change.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, I should have asked this at the start, but what does probiotic actually mean, and what does antibiotic actually mean?
Oh, it's really funny legislation on this. So probiotic means for life, working for life. And actually, it's illegal in the UK for companies to use the word probiotic.
I know, I discovered that the hard way.
Totally ridiculous, because it's one of those kind of shut you down because the the pharma world doesn't like it. And antibiotic just means against life, which is quite an incredible metaphor in a way.
And the interesting thing in farm is glyphosate and Roundup, and you see it all over the place advertised. And people think it's just a weed killer or something like that. Actually, it's registered as an antibiotic.
Yeah.
It's killing all your microbes.
And it's the damage it's doing is unbelievable. And yet I know farmers who don't live a million miles from here who will say, glyphosate is my friend. And
and also there's so many people, because I do a lot of work in the horse community, and it just breaks my heart because you see everyone spraying their fields for weeds, which of course are mainly herbs most of the time, and the diversity that need. I always say the clues in their name, they're called herbivores, not grassivores, diversity. But the thing is, it's so ridiculous that the legislation prevents things making medical claims or any claims or even probiotic against something that's natural and literally from nature. And yet they're allowed to sell so-called pet safe or wildlife safe chemicals that kill everything in their path. And it's so sad because people, unfortunately, and I don't mean in this in a derogatory way, I mean it in the literal sense of the way, we are so mind controlled and brainwashed through all this subliminal messaging and marketing and science that we don't realize that it's such an oxymoron that you're going to spray something in a hazmat suit that then you or your animals are going to eat. But now we have got a link below. Tell us first of all two things. First and foremost, what markets do you supply?
Markets as in where can you buy it?
Where can you buy it? What countries in the world can people buy your products from off your site?
So at the moment, it's UK and Ireland we're well set up for, and we have a partner in Spain. So if you're in Europe, you can buy. I can send you the link for our partner in Spain, and he supplies the whole of Europe. Their shipping rates vary, and that's it at the moment. We're not actually based in America, although if anyone is out there and wants us to do that, that's fine. We can have a conversation. And then mainly through our website. So you can buy us through the website, through Amazon, through an online retailer called Health, and hopefully in your local health food store. We work through a wholesale distributor who buys for quite a lot of small independent stores. So we do relatively well with those.
That's fantastic. Now, there's going to be a link below with a discount code. My call to action is that I would love everyone who's in the UK or Ireland. I will get the link for Spain and Europe from Katie, so I can put the link to that place where you can buy from there as well. I do try and say to people, try not to buy off Amazon if you can. I know sometimes we have to, but we prefer not to for obvious reasons. And I would love people to pick one area. If anyone is watching this and you've got a horse, a dog or a cat, I would absolutely implore you to try these products, because I promise you they will transform their health, and it's so cost effective. You've done such a wonderful job keeping the price very affordable. For humans watching this, please try something with an open mind and keep a little diary. Whether you want to start with the cleaning products or the products for your garden or your veg patch, or if you're more adventurous and you've got more land, or for yourself. Because if we keep doing the same thing, we keep getting the same results, and we need to make changes, and it snowballs. So what would your call to action be, both of you? We'll start with you, Jeff, for people watching this that might not have thought about soil-based microorganisms before.
Oh, I think for a lot of people to start, go where the problem is, whether that's your personal health whether you have an animal that's not very well or your garden that's not very well, that's the place to start. We, go to the problem and then you'll see it working there. But what we also say is it's about creating a whole environment.
Yeah.
That's full of microbes. They're in the air, they're in the water, they balance everything out, and then everything seems to work. But start with the problem, especially, I know a lot of people with dogs or, that's got skin problems, or a bit older and, a bit smellier, like a lot of us do. Then it's like, that's where I've seen some of the most miraculous things with elderly or, infirm dogs and animals, because it seems to work so much quicker with them than it does with us. Because
they're not getting in the way with this thing up here. Yeah. What about you, Katie?
I would just say try it. It doesn't matter what your thought process is about it, whether it's good or bad or whatever. Just try it and see and feel the results, because I think that's where that's where the magic is. And if you have some kind of, sometimes we have people with the gut health side where they have a bit of a health crisis after the first kind of week or couple of weeks, and their problem can get a bit worse. I mean, this is a very small percentage of people, and we would call that a healing crisis. So lower the dose, but keep taking it, because there's some reason that needs to that toxin needs to be expelled or something. And we generally see after that people get a lot better quickly.
Absolutely. Better out than in, as I used to say.
But it is basically reconnecting with nature, and in that way. So any way we can do that is usually always beneficial.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much both for your time. I would really encourage, regardless of what platform you're listening to this on, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Rumble, or whether you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, reach out on the links. If you're not sure, reach out. I'll have all the contact details below, because we're all here to help you, and connection is everything. If we get those connections back, health, happiness, not just for ourselves. The beauty about what you are both doing, and your lovely wife Sue, is it's all connected. It's not just about human centric. It's about all creatures, great and small, all plants, and most importantly, the thing that sustained us all, the soil. And if we start looking after that, I think people will see transformations. And let us know in the comments below what you want to hear more of. We can do a episode for horses. We can do one for cats and dogs. We can do one for you humans. We can do one for your garden, and we can do one for your house. So let us know what you'd like to hear next, and I'm sure I can persuade you both to come back. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I do really mean thank you so much for keeping the faith, because I know how hard it is to make a business like this work, because you are ahead of your time. So please keep going, and everyone, please support them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. This helps us spread the word, and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. And above all, stay curious and stay free.